the king of rock and roll. The legendary life story of Elvis Presley. Elvis Presley was not just a singer. He was an icon who fundamentally changed 20th century popular culture, becoming a symbol of rebellion and revolution with his music, style, and attitude. Here is the story of his life, from poverty to the pinnacle of global fame, filled with records and tragedy. Birth and humble beginnings 1935 to 1953. January 8, 1935. Born in a two-room house in Tupelo, Mississippi, an event occurred that would deeply affect him for his entire life. His identical twin brother, Jesse Garon, was stillborn 35 minutes before him. Elvis would later say that he always felt like a part of me is missing. The story of his first guitar. For his 11th birthday, he actually wanted a bicycle or a rifle. However, his parents could only afford a guitar. Though reluctant at first, this guitar would define his destiny. Failed music class. It's hard to believe, but in school, Elvis received a C grade in music. His teacher told him he had no aptitude for singing. From truck driver to the stage. Before being discovered in a studio where he went to record a song as a gift for his mother, he worked as a truck driver for an electric company, Sun Records, and the birth of a phenomenon, 1954-1955, the white man with the black sound. Sam Phillips, the owner of Sun Records in Memphis, dreamed of finding a white man who had the Negro sound and the Negro feel. When he heard Elvis, he knew he had found him. The song That's All Right, recorded in 1954, is considered the birth of the rockabilly genre, a fusion of blues and country music. Elvis, the pelvis, and controversy. His hip-swiveling dance moves were a shock to the conservative America of the 1950s. Churches accused him of being immoral. Some TV stations censored his performances, and he was nicknamed Elvis the Pelvis. This dangerous image only made his young fans adore him more. The king of rock and roll. RCA in global stardom 1956-1958. Colonel Tom Parker, Elvis's manager, Colonel Tom Parker, turned him into a global star, but also exploited him, taking 50% of his earnings, a figure unheard of at the time. The waist-up censorship. During his famous appearance on The Ed Sullivan Show in 1957, the host was so disturbed by Elvis's immoral dance moves that he ordered the director to film him only from the waist up. Why did Elvis never tour outside the US? This is one of the most interesting details of his career. His manager, Colonel Parker, was an illegal immigrant from the Netherlands and feared he would be unable to re-enter the US if he left. Because he couldn't risk being caught, he never allowed Elvis to tour internationally. Hollywood and Graceland. While shaking the world with hits like Heartbreak Hotel, Hound Dog, and Jailhouse Rock, he also began making Hollywood movies. At just 22 years old, he bought the Graceland mansion, which would become his home and sanctuary. The Army years and a changing image 1958 to 1960. Drafted at the peak of his fame in 1958, at the absolute height of his popularity, Elvis was drafted into the U.S. Army. He served as a regular soldier in Germany, a move advised by Parker to make him seem more relatable to mainstream America. Personal tragedy. While he was on leave from basic training, his beloved mother, Gladys, died. He was devastated by the loss. It was also during his time in Germany that he met a 14-year-old Priscilla Beaulieu, who would later become his wife. The Hollywood years and the decline 1961 to 1967. The movie Rut. After leaving the army, Elvis's career shifted focus to making a series of formulaic, light-hearted musical films. He made 31 feature films in the 1960s, and while many were financially successful, they were creatively stifling for him. He grew to despise the weak scripts and poor quality songs, losing relevance. While Elvis was making movies, the music world was changing. The British invasion, led by the Beatles, made Elvis's film music seem dated and out of touch. The '68 comeback special, and the Return of the King 1968, the comeback. By 1968, many thought Elvis was finished. He staged a television special that was intended to be a simple Christmas show. However, against his manager's wishes, Elvis turned it into a raw, electrifying, rock and roll performance. Dressed head to toe, in a now iconic black leather suit, he reminded the world of his incredible talent and charisma, successfully reclaiming his throne. The Las Vegas years and the final couton, 1969-1977, the Vegas King. Following his comeback, Elvis reinvented himself as a spectacular live performer in Las Vegas. He was famous for his elaborate, jeweled white jumpsuits and his powerful stage presence. Aloha from Hawaii. In 1973, He made history with his Aloha from Hawaii concert, which was the first live concert by a solo artist to be broadcast globally via satellite. It was watched by an estimated 1.5 billion people worldwide, more than the moon landing. Decline in health. The final years of his life were marked by a grueling tour schedule and an increasing dependence on prescription drugs, which led to significant weight gain and deteriorating health. Death and legacy. August 16, 1977. Elvis Presley died at his Graceland home at the age of 42. The world mourned the loss of a legend, an enduring icon. His home, Graceland, is the second most visited private home in the United States, after the White House. Elvis Presley remains one of the best-selling solo artists in history. As John Lennon famously said, "Before Elvis, there was nothing." He was the spark that ignited the flame of rock and roll, and his influence on music and culture remains undeniable.